Hey, Thekla. MacGyver cat! MacGyver cat! Hey, Toadologist. Procuro. Hey, guys. Welcome to the cast. Just starting up right now. So I can do this in order. So far, I'm really enjoying the Sekla. I guess the one thing I would have for you is if you could line something else up for me once this album finishes. From what I saw, the page you listed, it's actually a fairly short album. So I figure it's going to be over in, like, what, 35 minutes, something like that, at most. If you don't mind. Alright, guys, well, I think we're going to start in BCs today. And then we're going to work our way up to BSs depending on what we see in space. Also to get some insurance money back so I can insure more ships to... Yeah, kind of low on ISK. Again. No issues though. It'll all come back with insurance. I fit up like, in raw ship amount, 1.5 billion ISK worth of T1 BC and BS holes last night. So, I'll be getting the insurance money back shortly. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this album right now. It's the Harmonic 33 album. Lots of going on in Suja area. I was thinking about just heading over to Mini Mars space. It's kind of my go-to space when I get home like this. So I'm probably going to end up going that direction. It's 45 minutes, yeah. Not going to last too long. I appreciate it, Thekla. Thank you. RC Moon Pie. I remember this name. RC Moon Pie. Who's RC Moon Pie? I don't remember. I think I've been shot at by, or shot RC Moon Pie. I think that's what's going on. Hey, Vox. Why no triple whip? There's a couple reasons for that, Chase. It's fairly limited style fitting. It really limits you to doing like kind of gank take style PvP that I don't necessarily feel is all that strong right now. It means that I can't fit an MGD. MGDs are very powerful defensive and offensive modules. They allow you to have a hell of a lot more mobility on grid, and more importantly, when you're running around solo, it allows you to get past a lot of gate camps you wouldn't otherwise get past. You can fit a medium newt to them and fuel them quite effectively, but I think the fitting's a little bit hard for a medium newt. I like to have a medium newt on my BCs. I'm also running a gank fitting right now, double drone damage amps. I'm quite enjoying the additional damage that comes out of the Merm. A lot less tank, as you can imagine, but it's it feels pretty good. I feel like I accomplished a lot with the extra damage out of the drones. And the last thing is I actually have a rig slot that is devoted to a warp speed. So I have a warp speed rig on here. And when you're devoting so much of your slots to tank, like in a triple rep merm, I feel like it's kind of obligatory to actually fit 3 rigs to tank. And I like having that warp speed rig. I like to warp around faster and go from point A to point B faster. Hey, Hyde. I mean, the triple rep merm is a beast. It's an utter beast. Once it gets into the fight where it's tanking a lot of damage. What I find, however, is that honestly my drones end up doing a lot of the tanking versus actually my ship. And essentially, if I'm in a situation where the triple rep merm is going to be doing really well, I feel like for those gang sizes, for the amount of stuff coming in, I feel like it's too much tank for factional warfare. Hey, Owens, doing good. See Twitter, okay. I'll look at Twitter. Twitter's twitter.com. Okay. It is on Spotify. Alright, Thekla. We're in business. I'll be swapping over to that. Ooh, that's a really long album, too. How long is that? Like an hour? I don't see a sum. Something like that. Cool. Do I watch Game of Thrones? No, I do not. Did you direct... Thekla's a good-looking guy. I wouldn't mind. I'd take it with the album. Yeah, Spotify's been pretty good for me. Like the only, for example, Tool is not on Spotify, so I don't really know how it plays out, but it seems that a lot of the more fringe artists that don't necessarily have bazillions of dollars to their name are on Spotify. It seems to have been pretty good. Hey, Joel. Have you seen Otto's? Yes, Hyde actually commented on the Reddit thing. Man, that Workomi skin. I didn't watch it to the end. It's pretty good stuff though. I gotta say he seems to be about the same level of attentiveness that I have on my normal day. Like I saw a lot of model management errors. Uh-oh. Things he could have been faster about. And I see that all the time with my my play too, so that's kind of cool to see. There's really good footage, really cool stuff. Yeah, that guy's just idles in that gate. I've never actually seen a gate camp where that guy was actively supporting. Oh, dude, don't get me wrong. It's an amazing fight. What bothers me the most about it is the lack of warp speed stuff and the lack of MJD. I really don't like seeing battleship videos where people don't speed up their warp speed and stuff. I mean, I guess you can run around in that fitting with like an ascendancy set and not want to shoot your brains out after roaming for a couple of jumps, but I can pretty easily see someone flying that fitting with some warp speed stuff. He only had resist rigs in the rig slots, so it looked like a really solid fitting. I just wish there was more of a reason to run around in a fitting like that for me. Like I'm so infatuated with MGDs. It's really hard for me to let go of that on a fitting. This guy like a smart bomber? Yes. I just bumped him into a gate like an idiot, and he's trying to reapproach. Yeah. I was assuming that he's going to try to warp off with stabs, so I was just trying to bump him away from warpable spots. And the guy was running a shield tank, so it's quite likely that he's stabbed to hell. Oh well. You and I disagree a lot on warp speed, really? Huh. I guess you just have a lot more patience than I. I really dislike spending time in warp. I'd rather get more fights. Okay, I'm partially aligned to the unlock gate, and I have a weapons timer here, so I'm just going to try to warp off. Nope, they got me. Got the jump. Rupture did get lock on me. I thought I saw, yeah, they had at least an auger, so did the auger just jump? I didn't actually see it when I was scanning the overview. I'm usually really bad about that, though. It's entirely possible their heavier ships that they had are going to have an MJD fit. And given that they have Logi, it's probably a really bad idea to stick around to play with Deterrus here. Mostly because the bigger ships can just MJD onto me, and they have, like, I think an Armageddon. Kind of nasty stuff. But nothing with an MJD actually jumped through the gate. Okay, so Lonnie, you might be MGDing. He doesn't have pre-lock going, so I'm not too worried about the MGD. Also doesn't look like he's closing with me, so I don't think he's MGDing. Alright, let's just head over to Corm. It's just it's a fun thing. It's a fun per hour thing. BS warp speed is way too long. It's too slow. They have a rattlesnake gang returning. Oh, that Terrace really? It looked like they just had Kiction Stink stuff out. I'm assuming they have already docked that stuff up, maybe. Or you might be talking about the NC. I think NC does that sort of thing. Bumping again, that didn't go as planned a few days ago. Okay. I take the good with bad. Okay, it tends to go It tends to go more positively than it goes negatively. Double Scythe, Worm, Vexer. Are they all together? Possibly. Probably. You know, 1-to-1 Logi to ship ratio, combat ship ratio, always fun. Oh, DT hit. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, Black Legion. Oh, why is he with Thing? Smarts. Okay. Looks like he's typed a 6 status up since then. Quite an expensive profession if he's actually still smarting. It's a guy that stole a bunch from goons? It's so rude. So rude. Looking for trouble? Always, dude. Always, Schitzel. Oh, the Globby guy just jumped in. Looks like Anslo just came in, possibly from Cormonen. No, I don't think from Cormonen. Anshar. Tater, we just started. Stay out of Blackrise Zone. Yeah, I heard it was fairly active today. Might do some wormhole stuff to Thera. Depending on how active Minispace is. Not really sure. Usually during the weekdays, Mini MR is the place to be. LPO stuff then? Okay. Okay. Let's go the back route. Still have not been to Thera yet. Honestly, it's... If you're just passing through, I haven't had many issues of being camped into stations, anything like that. It seems actually a fairly quiet place. But I haven't lived in it. I've just passed through it. So I don't have a very strong impression of it. I mean, when it first was unveiled to players on Tranquility, it was just general chaos. But it seems to be more of a hub for, you know, soloists and micro gangs and small gangs to pass through looking for fights elsewhere. Which I think is what everyone expected it to be. Yeah, it was crazy. Like, I was there the first day with the Interceptor, and you had all sorts of small gang PvPers just going crazy, shooting each other, just interdictors and anti frigate cruisers and all sorts of stuff just going ham on each other. Hey, Queenie. Way to on highlights. You don't like there, Mr. Hyde? Yeah, I wouldn't want to live there. Mostly because of the market. I don't think the market's all that great. There's a lot of holes in it. That's one of my biggest issues if I'm going to be operating on a system that has a market in it. It has to be a complete market. It has to be a 100% complete market. If there is if for whatever reason it's not a complete market, people buying stuff out just be dicks or whatever, and the person supplying doesn't have stockpiles to counteract that, then I don't think it's really all that worthwhile. I know logistics isn't all that bad, move things into it, but it slows down gameplay. And if you're not patient enough to deal with that sort of thing, then, or to plan ahead and to get everything you could possibly need, it's kind of a pain. But as far as a concept and as far as kind of a hub for the game, I think it's brilliant. It's awesome. I'm going to be attempting to use it a lot more in the next couple of days, the next like 2 weeks or so. See if I can get some cool roams into nullsec. Because it's something that's always been really lacking with my stream is nullsec stuff. I'm really bad about that. I don't really know much about nullsec. I don't know much about the meta for roaming and getting fights around nullsec. So I'm going to kind of go face first into the brick wall of doing that and figure out what works and what doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Use it to roam, but not to live. Yeah, I had a duder that I believe bases out there, or has based from out there. I think it's Warlords of the Deep, offering to help me out, and a couple of those guys do live in there. I think VOC guys and kind of like that crowd, and they base out of there. I know logistics isn't all that bad as long as you're willing to probe and kind of go a little bit out of your way in comparison to living out of a market hub. Yeah, to each their own. Still love the Myrmidon. It's such a lovely ship. Yeah, it is pretty cool, isn't it? I could probably rock a skirt Bear Force, not gonna lie. I'd look pretty in it too. I got the thighs for it. Why do I have Hug Life marked as I don't know. I don't think I've ever worn a skirt Bear Force, so there will be pictures until it happens sometime in the future. Hug Life, Hug Life, Hug Life. What are you doing, Hug Life? You like to do smart bombs? Okay. Cool. Well, and there's nothing on scan? Nothing on scan, okay. Let's head over to Kurnainen then. Or are we going to go to Sosan? Sosan look okay? Not really. Kurnainen. Kurnainen's pretty boring. Okay, alright, fine, whatever. Actually, Lanthorn looks like there's some stuff going down there. I imagine that was the Pos Bash from Dead Terrace. Thunder thighs. Well, Totalologist, I don't. So you're not allowed to like not wear shirts and thing like that or revealing clothing. So that's. I don't think there's anything against cross dressing for Twitch TV rules of content. So I don't think there's anything against a guy, wearing a tube top and a skirt or something. I don't know. Use your imagination. We can get there. We can make stuff happen. I'm gonna have to talk to a Twitch admin. Like, what's the acceptable amount of cleavage for a guy? What can I do? I want to tread the line here. Kind of go into the gray area. Let's make this stream a little bit more like Finn's stream. Maybe just for a couple of days. Let's just see how it goes. Padded bra, yes. Yes. I know that Twitch TV is okay with white beaters. At least I'm pretty sure of it. You see guys in white beaters all the time, and I don't think they've been yelled at. Okay, so I'd have to completely change my streaming setup, Bear Force. Like, I'd have to stream from, back there or something for me to give you panty shots, right? Come on, man. How am I supposed to play like this? How am I supposed to share cat gifs from that distance? I won't be able to see them. It can't work. I mean, the best you're gonna get is, a little flourish, maybe a little twirl or something when I get up to get some water, or use the little boys' room. Just cover the nipples. Oh, jeez. Alright, so that's still pretty boring. We shall check the larges, though. Actually, I might go into 50. I'll go to 100. Under desk cam. Nice. On a serious note, I really should start investing in wigs. I think wigs are the way forward. All this talk of cross-dressing aside, you get some wigs up in her. I got the hair or the lack of for it. I can rock that shit. If he does not working, chat is dirty. I applaud you, sir. I applaud you. That was a good one. Fido's facing the wrong direction. He needs to not address me. I'm not the dirty guy, it's the chat. Chat's the problem here. Alright, Mr. Fido. Alright, Mr. Fido. Alright, can I flip him on this? No, I can't. Damn it. Cormia's on that side, how about that? Are you actually gonna peck at me from there, sir? 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 Sir, please. Yeah, you need to get a bunch of different ones, yeah. For sure. Sleipnir getting run around Tama area, just FY. Who was it? Is it Bastion? Bastion was doing it the other day. I let them catch me, and that did not work out in my favor. They more or less volleyed through my my gank Dominix. Stop resisting! He's got a gun. Yeah, wrong string, for sure. You can also have a secondary camera like some gamers have for their hands. Yeah. Yes. This has been discussed. This has been discussed. The under the desk cam. Mm-hmm. Next system? This system? Next system? I don't know if he's just being sarcastic or what. Pretty sure that's who it is. Yeah. It'd be fairly surprising if it was someone else. Yeah, I let them catch me the other day, and their light tackle didn't really understand the concept of Crime Watch and Sentry guns, but it didn't really matter so much. Their Sleipnirs warp fairly quick with 3 AU per sec. Thank God for the warp speed buff. Not being ironic at all. Wait, didn't I want to go to... we're going to check out Lantern first. So it did show some people there on the map. Well, link Tenju, yeah? Probably. There's only 2 stations here. And it's out. I didn't check Dal, I could have went into Dal. Wait, what, projectiles? Yeah, it's mostly a fitting thing, Captain Craft. I don't have much power grid left for anything else. There is no gun bonus to the Myrmidons, so you can fit pretty much whatever type of gun you feel like. I used to run around in laser Myrmidons for a very long time. Thought I was alone until I heard a sneeze. Speaking of which, I need to take my allergy meds. Forgot about that. Yeah, Captain Craft, ever since the Myrmidon came out, it's never had a gun bonus. So people have, looked at blasters, autocans, whatever. It's normally either blasters for max DPS or autocans for no cap use. That's a lot of corp probes, but nothing really going on. Fortunately. Just a moment, guys. Oh shoot, I meant to scan the Oscar gate. Whoops. It's pretty quiet in here. Golmagod has been super dead. I think it's just because Periphery is more of a EU organization. I've gotten fights here in the past, just doesn't seem to be all that active lately. Hey, Biz. Sleipnir, ooh. Scary stuff. Oh my god. There we go. It's one problem about having people of all the same standing. It'd be very frustrating seeing who's actually following you. Alright, see if they'll fall to a Plex. I don't necessarily want to take a fight at a star or something. I can imagine them having a little bit of backup in, say, Amok or something like that, and they just warp immediately to me when they get tackle onto me. Whereas if I'm at an outpost, something like that, and they're not going to be able to do that, they'll be the best they can do is 100 km in the direction they warp in from. Do I think a rail Gnosis with active armor and passive hull rigs would work well? Doesn't sound all that great, Captain Craft. Sounds like you're trying to do too much. I've never flown battlecruisers, much less a weird one like the Gnosis. Okay, well, depending on how much money you have available, Captain Craft, if you're, I would say it's not necessarily a good idea to be starting off flying Gnosis, given that they have no insurance payout. So they're actually pretty much on the same order as a battleship for each loss, in comparison to like a Myrmidon or a Cyclone, where you only lose like 20-30 mil with insurance. But in general, it's very similar to a frigate or a cruiser, where you focus on one thing. You focus on long range combat, on short range combat, on a heavy active tank, on a heavy passive tank. It's the same sort of deal as any other class of ship. You just have more assets available to you, more tools in your toolkit. Things like MGDs or medium-sized newts, things like that. Rest 415. Guardian on scan. Hmm. Hmm. There's sea junks. Nothing really inbound. And the rest of the guys are out. Sucks. I don't really want to go over to Haddo, although it looks like the camp that's normally over here isn't active at the moment. Tends to be pretty fucking boring. I mean, I guess I could check out Bosper or something like that. Have you ever played as a healer? Yes. Yes, I really enjoy logistics. I really enjoy solo or duo logistics. I don't really enjoy being in a large fleet where there's, 4, 5, 10, 20 logistics, whatever. I feel like my efforts are just lost in the noise. Whereas, kind of the smaller scale logistics, it's a lot more important in a fight where there's not necessarily a lot of logistics. They're really fun in skirmish gangs where positioning is super critical to survival for the logistics. That's normally where I've flown logistics, and I really enjoy that. Positioning in this game is something I really relish doing right, or attempting to do right. Really like watching new logic for Zhao. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. It tends to be a lot of fun. The only problem with it is, like half the fights it's completely unnecessary, so I'm just goofing off. But it can mean that he can get in some really fun scraps. The biggest problem with logistics is that it's really scary when people see it. When people see it, people get really leery of it. Okay. Well, let's swap over to the other album. Something went wrong. Please try again later. Great. Oh, there we go. You mean start ripping Zhao's opponent? Exactly! Exactly, that's the way to do it. That's how you keep things fun and fresh. I don't do it all that often, but I used to relish running around. I've done it like maybe 3 or 4 times. Just going solo in a logistics ship or in a logistics duo, and finding people to tag along with, and then just beating an utter nuisance, sometimes ripping them, sometimes ripping other people, and then just starting bidding wars in local for reps, or building up the confidence of a small gang that you've inadvertently become a part of, and they've accepted you into their fold, and then having some friends come over and ripping them instead, and once they get into a fight. There's a lot of really fun shenanigans you can do, and kind of the things that make this game special and unique, things you'd never see in any other type of game. If I could take one module out from the game, what module would I take out? One module, huh? One module. Can't be a type of module? Is that acceptable? A type of module? Or does it have to be a very specific module? I probably should have tried to bump that sequel. I'm going to go back and do that. Sure, Warfare links. I get rid of Warfare links. That would be what I get rid of. What was actually fairly high on my list is a Bastion module. I don't really like the Bastion module. I don't like how Marauders are the de facto gank and tank BS. Oh, Defender Missile, that's an ammo. It's not a module. I got nothing against stabs. Got nothing against Sinos. ECM, I don't have a lot against. It's annoying, but I'm okay with it for the most part. I think it needs to have some nerfs to it. Damps are fine to me. The damage control. It doesn't really take away much from the game, though. Yeah, but I get rid of links. That's what I do. I really don't like the gang link mechanic. I don't like how it's implemented into the game. Maybe, you know what, next to that, it just to force some innovation on CCP's part, it might also be mining lasers. I think mining is a very boring aspect of this game, and the game could do without it. But, I mean, my PvP-addled mind, I just think stuff that affects my PvP, like Warfare links. The problem with ECM, the counterpart doesn't really do much besides counter it. Yeah. It makes you hard to get probed down, and for most ships that doesn't mean much. That guy's still here? No, I jumped. Fuck. Oh well. I mean, Bear Force, you see the very powerful Tengu railgun composition, which completely relies on that effect of ECCM. And that's a powerhouse composition for a nullsec stuff, well, just for, block stuff. It's a very good skirmishing composition. It's not like it's an insignificant effect, it's just, you really have to think up creative ways to use it. When Dev said it's like fishing. I don't think that's a really good way to approach game design. I understand that's kind of a core element to MMOs, which is just find something to get players to do, even if it's not necessarily interesting, just some sort of busy work. I understand that, but I really dislike mining. I wasn't here earlier, just finished making meals for the entire week. Oh, fantastic Slayer, that's always a good feel. Yeah, speaking of which, I have a roast I need to throw in the crock pot probably tomorrow. Gonna do up some tacos. Gonna be good. I don't know if you guys watch Lethal Frag, but occasionally he does cooking with Frag. The guy used to be a cook. I think he was a cook in like a like a nice hotel restaurant sort of thing for about 8 years. So he has decent cookery skills. And occasionally he does like cooking lessons, skills, knife skills, things like that. And he came up with this taco meat out of a crock pot that just looks so divine. It's I don't use my crock pot enough. It's like one of the best things to be using if you're working a long period of time and you want to have something delicious when you come home. You can mine half AFK, that's kind of the point of it. I guess, for me, the way I see it, Rambo, is that I feel that for the vast majority of what's mined, like kind of basic material, kind of similar to the movement of material around space, just basic sort of T1 logistics or even freighter logistics of moving just basic material like titanium, really cheap stuff, even though in bulk amounts it's not necessarily cheap. I don't think this is something that players should have to do. I think it's very mind-numbingly dull. And I think that's something that players should have the option to relegate to NPCs. I feel that for the vast majority of material that is harvested, there should be automation to it. I don't think mining and hauling should go away. In fact, I think it more or less should continue in about almost the same amounts, maybe like very close to the same amounts. But instead of have people just autopiloting their shit and not actually playing the game, how about we make the movement of material or the harvesting of resources a more challenging sort of gameplay, like something where you go after really lucrative veins of ore, or you have to kind of explore and find veins of ore, or if you do things actively, you make it at a rate that's better than just the NPCs doing it for you, something like that. As far as the movement material, like, make blockade runners actual blockade runners. Make, like, the movement of illicit goods worthwhile. There's so much more that, gameplay that can be added to the game by fleshing out these roles. And instead, they're just been left to kind of rot. And so many people have gotten burned out in this game trying to take up these kind of interesting professions of, like, movement of material, logistics, or industry and mining, and just finding out how mind-numbingly boring it is. Yeah, Twisted Fury, I mean, that's the entire thing. I mean, I understand it. I get it. Like, a lot of people that mine just do it because it's so laid back. You can do all sorts of other things and still profit. You can say, watch a film with your significant other. You can chat with your buddies. I get it. It actually is a decent kind of social sort of activity to take on. And, like, it really allows you to do other activities like chat and all sorts of stuff. I think you can do that while making it more valuable to the player's time. Yeah, Slayer, I mean, don't take what I'm saying with the wrong meaning. I don't think that players should be forced into PvP, but it just so happens if you're really going to get into this game, you're probably going to be doing something that involves PvP. And when I say PvP, I mean players shooting each other. That's what most players, what really gets them to stick in the game is that. It's these player interactions in space that really get people really enjoying their EVE experience. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that happens all the time, but I think that sort of engaging in that, participating in that, or supporting that is why players really enjoy playing this game. And I think there should be more drive to do that, but not necessarily forcing people to shoot other players. How can you not do any PvP? There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that don't PvP in this game, Grey Wolf. There's a lot of people doing that. Mining and production is such an elemental aspect of in-game economy. I think CCP has always been cautious when modifying it. I don't know how much they can afford being cautious about modifying it. They've definitely been streamlining industry about the building of material. And there's been some fantastic quality of life improvements to how that system works. I've seen I've tinkered with the recent production system, and it is way nicer than it used to be. The way that bookmarks are not bookmarks, blueprints are handled now, way nicer than it used to be. I think it's critical that CCP addresses like the harvesting material aspect of the game, because it's god awful. Vorian, I don't think that forcing people to move around is a good way to go about it. No. Again, one of the things that is worst about this game is having to move from point A to point B. Players, look what I'm doing right now. Players spend so much of their time in these fucking warp tunnels. Why would you force players to do this all the time? I don't necessarily think forcing them to move around from one region to another, like some swarm of locusts, is a really good way to go about providing content to players. Do I think that you should be able to undock and go to the same asteroid belt day after day after day? Not necessarily. But I mean, just to draw a little bit of a parallel, I don't know how good of a parallel it is, but to give an example of static content that's really good for the game. Static 1 of 10 and 2 of 10 sites that were in LowSec. My stream used to be focused a lot around them. They were some of the best PvP content for flying around in smaller ships. And they'd actually spark off fights with even bigger ships. They were a reliable source of income for even new players. And they're a huge source of content for players of all SP levels. There's a good reason to attempt them. There'd be players that would be the guys that ran it for money. There'd be players that hunted the guys that tried to run it for money. And then there'd be the guys that just wanted to shoot people. And it was a fantastic... You could always go to these systems and have some sort of expectation of making money or of getting fights. And it was fantastic. There's this cool meta that surrounded these sites, and people would plot out courses to visit all of them, and their particular type of static DD running ships, and it was cool stuff. It was really cool. Knowing that you're going to get some sort of content is really key, I feel, to warranting the time investment into this game. So taking away certainty is not necessarily a good thing for the game. Some level of uncertainty is appropriate, but there needs to be a balance between these forces. There needs to be some static content, and there needs to be a healthy amount of dynamic content. Rambo, I agree. It's mostly UI, but the UI is pretty bad for industry. I have kind of a newbie question, but I wonder about one thing. I heard when your security status is really low, that the police or Contort will shoot you in high sec, but I wonder if they'll actually pod kill you. They will not pod kill you. No, NPCs will not pod kill you. There is only one type of NPC that will pod kill you, and that's only if you shoot it. It will not shoot you. There is a type of NPC called Drifter, and they will shoot your pod. But that's only if you idle there for a long period of time, and that's only if you shoot them first. Every other type of NPC in the game will not kill your pod. Also, a thing about those NPCs, those police NPCs. If your standings, if your security status is low, or if your standings with a particular faction is low, so I'm in Galente space. If my Galente standing was really low, police NPCs would go after me. However, I can move through Galente Highsec just fine. They will webify my ship before they warp scramble my ship. They'll actually help me move from point A to point B faster, which is something that's kind of amusing most players don't realize. But you cannot linger. They do lots of DPS. They will kill your ship in a very effective manner. If you go into high security space with a criminal timer, like you shot at a player's capsule and it was an illegal target, that will spawn Concord, which is 100% guarantee that your ship will die. If you go into high security space in a pod with GCC, it doesn't matter, because you're not in a ship, the Concord won't do anything to you. Yeah, that's all under the Crime Watch system, Synergy. If you want to Google that, Crime Watch, Google that, look up Crime Watch on the EVE University Wikipedia, something like that. You'll learn probably all you'd ever want to know and more about Crime Watch system, which is what's legal and what's not legal and how all that works in EVE Online. Industry is pretty stale. It's really hard for newcomers to find something to produce. Yeah. In fact, it's incredibly difficult because you have a lot of new players that just try to build stuff. They don't necessarily know whether what they're building is profitable or not. And a lot of stuff that people build are put up on market for build cost, less than build cost, because people don't really understand what something's actually worth. There are quite a few battle cruisers and battleships. I was actually looking this up recently. That if you were to build them with pretty much all the little shenanigans you can do to drive down price of the cost of production, it's never going to be worth the actual amount of minerals that you put into that ship and to build it. And some of these things are so razor thin on the margins that you're probably not making any money when you look at the amount of taxes and broker fees that you put into listing the item in the first place. It's a very common thing. I couldn't find information about killing the pod yet. So, Synergy, there's a couple ways that you can shoot a capsule and not have a security status penalty. The first way is if that player shot you, or you shot him and they return fire, and he had a limited engagement timer. It's that teal timer. It'll say limited engagement. That means he's a legal target for you to molest and destroy and pod kill for the duration of that timer. If that target is a suspect, if he's suspicious, if he has that yellow timer, not the non-capsular log-off timer, but a suspect timer, you can shoot the capsule and there will not be any repercussion. You won't get GCC. If the target is an outlaw, he's a criminal, his security status of -5 or below, it's pretty much the same thing as being a suspect. He's a legal target. You can shoot him and you can shoot his pod. No security status penalty. The only other way to get away from security status penalties, oh my gosh, this nebula is gorgeous, would be to be in null security space or wormhole space, or to have a war. If you're shooting war targets, that will not incur any security status penalties. They are legal targets. I'm in Mirthan. Okay. Molest. This image is relevant for the Crime Watch system. That looks complicated. I don't like it. It's not necessary. I don't like it. It's too complicated. Don't like that again. Urgh. Is it Blinky? Shoot it! Yeah, I like that one, Moonpie. Alright, we're gonna have to pick up some droogs. You got that in Fraps? Okay. There you go, Toadologist. Alright, let's pluck up some droogs. Let's get our fix. I never knew if you were a criminal coming in from low sec, you'll get Concord opened when going to high sec. Yeah, okay. So if you're -10, if you're a kill on sight to police, you can fly your ship in through high sec. You'll just have police chasing you. You'll have not the Concord, but faction police chasing you. You're safe as long as you keep moving. If you fly in from low sec to high sec and if you have a GCC, if you have a criminal timer, if you shot at a capsule, if you have that red timer, do not go into high sec. Unless for some reason you want to try to deny someone a kill mail. Concord will kill your ship. Tracking penalty. Not good. Not super critical, but not good. Well, we found out that the Exile booster pill is bugged right now. It will show an missile explosion velocity penalty, explosion radius penalty. Excuse me. All the time, 100% of the time. It seems that penalty is bugged. I don't know if it actually. I don't believe it's actually applying a penalty, but it always shows. Oh, here's that Sleipnir gang. Am I excited to fly a Jackdaw? No. What? No, there are no % you can get negative effects on booster. No, no, no. Life is game. The exile pill is broken right now. Is bugged. One of the penalties does not work. It always shows as active. You will always get a missile explosion radius penalty if you use a standard exile pill, but it doesn't actually apply. So if you look in your character sheet, it doesn't actually show. If you look at your missile attributes, it doesn't actually apply. I don't know if they're going to fix it. I didn't see it in the patch notes. So no answer to what hold fast. I do repeat myself, but what was that happening when CCP peeps actually controlled Concord, since evil players had the control of the main corridor at the time, so superior ships manually controlled? So you're talking about when high security space didn't have Concord? And it was actually pretty much like nullsec and there wasn't any security status? That was a long time ago. Hey, Vinish. So, okay. What was that happen? I don't understand what your question is. It seems like more of a statement about what Concord used to be and how it came to be. How goes it? Pretty quiet. Hold fast, unfortunately. I'm not finding much in the way of small gangs to shoot at, which is sad. Couldn't you nude out the Hecate, Rambo? I guess not with small nudes. You wouldn't have time, especially on the Tech 3 Destroyer cap pool. Hmm. I think he's asking if there was an event where CCP staff came in Concord ships and fought off players in high sec. I wasn't playing back when that was a thing. I started playing the game around mid '06, I believe. Let's see, when did I start playing the game? Yeah, mid '06, and that was well after that was a thing, so I can't really speak towards that. But speaking of that, I do wish that players had more control of enforcement. I wish bounty hunting was the thing. I wish if for drug runners that players enforce drug rules instead of these custom officer NPCs. I wish that was the thing. Maybe having an NPC that would detect them, but players would have to then enforce it. I think that's been a wish by CCP as well. They just don't have the time or resources to really effectively realize that vision. It's something that I've heard Masterplan talk about. It seems that it's pretty much been the idea. Yeah, Queenie, right? If bounty hunting was actually good. I mean, you used to have a really cool sort of thing going on, cops and robbers style, between pirates and anti-pirates. It's a lot of fun. No, I'm not running rails. I'm running autocannons. These are D180 autocannons. I really dislike running rails on an active tank like this. This is not good. Who are these guys? Bebop? If they don't force me through this gate, I'll be very surprised. No kidding. Okay. I guess they don't really have much in the way. No, they have logic. I just saw Scythe. Oh, I mean, Queen, if the person's flying an expensive ship, it's the same thing, but it's typical that pods are going to have the most value in them. Sure. I don't think Squeebs is here. Did he say something? Squeebs in chat? No, Squeebles isn't in chat, buddy. He's lurking, you say. I didn't see him. Well, if he's lurking, he's doing a very good job of it, because I don't see his name in the chat list. There he is. Okay, that's odd. Wonder why he didn't show up in the chat. I think the battling system is as good as you can make it in the game like Eve, because death does not have any meaning until Isk is lost, and it's exactly what the current bounty system does. Payout is based on Isk lost. Yeah. Still in a thing with Iron Bank. What are you doing with Iron? Are you still shitting up Twitter, talking about it? He's accused of bot spamming. You know, I thought it's pretty ridiculous, Squeebs. Like one of the more ridiculous aspects of this broadcast, of that broadcast, I think there's a couple people that run that channel. Is if you look in the chat when it's down, and what that broadcast actually is. It's nothing to do with Eve. The people idle there all day, every day. It's kind of the interesting thing where they will do a host of a channel, and that channel will suddenly have like plus 100, 400 more viewers or something like that, and it is the most peculiar thing. It's like, why does this person have 300 people watching or 400 people watching them? It's amazing. And then you look in the chat channel, and there's no actual participating people in the chat. It's like, what? What is this? This makes no sense. And it's because no one actually really participates. I think they just leave it up and wait for them to hear something, and then they'll do the little raffle things or whatever he does. Yeah, and it does seem that people are really throwing money at him. It's kind of weird. I don't get it. I personally don't get it. It's very similar to what was seen with what you call him, Mad Annie, I guess. Except Mad Annie didn't actually give Iskin return to these kind of favors. But I haven't really seen much in the way of how he runs that operation. I don't watch it. A third album? Nice. Let's see what it is. Let's see. Album name, Headphone Sex. I like it. Let's see, is it here? Yeah, it's on here. Cool. Got it. Thank you. Kill the first person you find. I want to see some pew pew. I'm about right there with you, Barry. But what this guy's doing is thinly veiled RMT fueled by bots. So you think he's actually botting... Are you talking about botting in EVE or botting on Twitch? Yes. Feckle, this is how Squeebles gains characters in EVE. He drives them before him, tramples them, and then takes their beaten body and makes it his own. Kind of like a character vampire or something like that. He's botting on Twitch. Oh, okay. Sorry, the one I'm trying to remember is the one where corporations, well, coalitions, came about nullsec and seized the main jumpgate connection and could fight off Concord. That was Moo. That was Moo Corp. I'm pretty certain about that, but I'm not the right person to talk about that. I'm not. I didn't play this game for the first 3 years, 3.5 years it was around, and that's when Moo was a thing. Okay, from here, do I want to go to Nissel or Pine Coast? I think it's Pine Coast, right? Ooh. Okay, let's go to Pine Coast. It's going to be a safer jump. I don't really want to get volleyed by a bunch of Sleipnirs. That seems really boring. Not a good way to die. Well, Godspeed to you, Squeebles. Godspeed. He has a G2A partnership? Yeah, there you go. I found an annoying stream of a girl in a skirt and basically bra. I think you're good, sorry. Okay. Question, is she playing League of Legends? Rakapos might have some good fights. I'm thinking about going around through the I think the 5 jumps of Highsec to get there. I don't want to jump into that Sleipnir gang. They will volley me before I can warp or MGD. Long time no see. A nice haircut. Yeah, thanks, MC Hammer. How's it going, man? Close. H1Z1. Yeah, that's fairly close. I do not see the appeal of that game whatsoever. I feel like this music is putting me to sleep. I'm quite enjoying it. If it's putting you to sleep, sorry. Not sorry. I got about like 4 hours of sleep last night. If anyone's falling asleep, it should be me. Come open my package. Nice. Classy. Classy, that one. It's not really anyone actually doing anything in here. Boo. A skin-colored t-shirt. Okay. Yeah. You like the Tech 2 Fido, Fakusa? You like it? You like it? How about the Faction Fido, man? We got some Officer Fido over here as well. In case you haven't noticed. It's over there in the corner of the chat. Yeah, we got the Officer Fido as well. You mean a white t-shirt? Well played, sir. Well played. Oh man, this is painful. Confessor? Maybe? Maybe I should just stop streaming on Mondays or stream other games on Mondays. Last couple of Mondays have not been good. PvP wise. Hey, Nelburn. Sard, how will you know your Eve history? How does code word Nicole sound? Code word? What? I have no idea what or who Nicole is. So I guess my Eve history is bad. I'm kind of a space hermit, hold fast. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't really pay too much attention to things outside of my little tunnel vision view of EVE Online. I play this game through a cardboard tube, okay? I just focus on this solo small gang thing, that's about it. Like, the deepest into nullsec I've ever lived is NPC Null and Syndicate, or Curse. I spent the vast majority of my gameplay in this little shithole called Molten Heath, like one of the smaller low-sec regions that is separated from the rest of EVE Online. I'm a relative nobody. My most interesting faucet is the fact that I stream, and I do types of PvP that most other players don't. So the fact that I don't know one thing or another about different organizations of the games or interesting things that have happened in the game, I don't think is all that surprising. A lot of the stuff I know has pretty much been forced upon me by people saying, "How could you not know this? Here, let me dump this knowledge on you." I'm like, ah! And I'm like Atlas with all this Eve knowledge. I didn't ask for this. But I'm okay with this burden. I'll hold it. Try to dump it on some Hercules someday. Steve? What about Steve? Wasn't Steve, a Titan? Or are you talking about CSP Rise? I don't know. Plays this game through a cardboard tube and microjumps back and forth. I like it. I like it. Yeah, Molten Heath, it's a good little donut. It is my happy donut. This is my special donut. Fondest memories of this game have occurred in and around that donut. It's so nerdy, dude. It's so nerdy. Nicole was the code word. Used to kick off the big heist that Guiding Hand Social Club pulled off back in the day. God, those guys. It's code words for using microjumps. What does he call it? I've successfully forgotten what he calls a microjump activation. I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. I think whatever he calls it's very silly. Sorry, do you need a friend who reads Reddit for you? They're great. I've never had to read anything and he tells me what's happening. Reddit's been getting a little watered down lately, but I still enjoy actually going and read it myself. Oh, Bill Withers. That's what it's called. Damn it. Oh well. God. Hold fast, I hate that so much. That comparison to real life money. I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. I mean, it accounts for inflation in the game, and it accounts for what ISK was relatively worth at that point in time, but God, I hate it. Yeah, Wiljo, it might be better. It might be decent going out in the millisecond to do that. There's not a lot of structures you can do that to. I don't know how worthwhile it will be, but we'll see. I'm probably not going to be a part of that when it first comes out, unless it ends up being a goldmine for content. Ah, they're warping, right? Really? They're all warping. Every last one of them are warping. Too safe. Guess I just... fuck. I just need more aggressive. I wouldn't have been able to burn in a range of anything. I would have had to burn 20 km to get in range of anything. I see local as it is, and I see people all in different plexes. I was assuming that they're going to get, you know, another 3 to 4 frigates warping on top of me. Just one of those times where not being aggressive did not pay off. There's a sequel possibly coming back. Here they come. Okay, and there's... okay. This is what I thought was going to happen in this first place. That's too bad. And not a drone was lost on that day. Yeah, it's like pretty much what I was expecting, an entirely local to descend on me. It's the sort of thing that if this one worm was decently flown and fit, it would have been hell for me. But it wasn't. So these guys were youngins. So it goes. Hey, Flurf, have a good one, dude. Hey, Nishwa, good to have you. Let's see, what have you brought home? Oh my, kitty. We need to swap cats. We need to get some fresh pussy in here. Here we go. This cat gif explains very well what happened only moments ago. What are you talking about, Thekla? People love kittens. People love kittens. People start to dislike them when they get older. That's the problem. But isn't that true, though? Ain't that the truth? According to Fintaro, the worm is a cruiser. Well, it just about does cruiser level damage. Just about. It's actually really comparable to a lot of T1 cruisers in terms of damage output. Don't do it, Caristas! I'm on your side! Ow, 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 stop it, ow, ow, ow. I'm not a fan of there being more MGDs in the game. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of MGDs in general. They're a very cheese-rich module. Letting smaller ships that are already highly mobile equip an MJD is very senseless to me. I don't really like the idea of more MJDs being introduced to the game. So no, I'm not a fan of a micro jump drive or a small MJD that like a cruiser would fit. It doesn't. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Exactly, ProQL. I'm on your side. NPCs, please. I'm not farming today. How about a puffin? What is the thing doing? Is it in front of a mirror? No, those are... So, what do you think about a module that allows jumping across systems, but the destination in system isn't known? So you activate the jump drive. I feel like, if anything, that should just be an aspect of normal jump drives, but I kind of don't like it. Unless there is like a huge detriment to using it, like you can't move for a while. That sounds like a last-ditch effort to escape by a stricken capital ship, you know? I don't think anything with that doesn't normally have a jump drive should be able to do that. It sounds interesting, though. I mean, that sort of thing does happen if you're flying around in a capital ship and your Sino dies before you actually activate jump. You'll, I believe, appear in the sun or something like that and bounce around and it'll be craziness. I've never seen that happen. I've never heard of that happening. I've been told that happens. Hey, Pocky. The fact that you call murdering their brethren farming probably pisses them off enough to attack you anyway. Yeah, that's true. It's always bothered me that if you had high standings with a an NPC faction, like a pirate NPC faction, they still shot you. Probably just do it because they're brown nose. Like, God, guy's always he's tight with that admiral dude. Fuck that guy. Let's kill him. Yeah, it just sounds like a jump drive, honestly. I mean, in this game, jump drives need targets. I mean, maybe if you allowed it instead of just only being able to go to a Sino, you'd lock onto a star or something like that. But where it actually would put you, you're not really sure. Oh, really? Killer Arts of the hidden PvP market? Yeah, pretty much. I've made a fair bit of money off of them. It's kind of a cool system. What? stay there. You stay there, Klops. Don't you fucking jump through that gate. Yeah, dude, I'm suspect. Let's do this. It looks like Klops has a 1600 plate fit or something like that. Alright, well, dude, I'm gonna go to the large. Let's brawl. Meet you there. Ellie giggle. Alright, looks like Klops is not looking for 1v1. Fair enough. Seemed like he was. Maybe he's looking just to be a buddy and help out in a fight. Fair enough. If Klops keeps on falling, I will shoot him, and we'll do it that way. I'll dodge sentries and get the fight. Reverb. How about you guys just go away? Jump through the gate. Jump through the gate. Jump through the gate. Shoot. Go away. Swear to God, if you guys drop ground, I'm gonna be sad. Blah, 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 blah. I'm surprised they don't have any Logi. Maybe you just don't see them yet. That's not typical for Reverb to not have Logi. Another pretty nice thing about having this warp rig is that if they want to follow me, I'm faster than them in warp. The only thing I don't have is warp's alignment. It's kind of nice. Oh, nice one, C-Junks. Yeah, they're following, but they can't catch me. Unless they have frigates or something like that. My suspect's about to run down. Can you MJD in a bubble? Yeah. The only thing that's going to stop you from running through an MGD and blinking, teleporting 100 km in the direction that you're lined is a scrambler. You are able to MJD through anything else. So any sort of warp disruption effect you can MJD straight through. That includes an infinite point from a Hick. See this come on. Jacob's Flint. Who is that with? Whose link is that? I don't recognize that link alt. Oh, nice. 3 volleyed, so the guy just stood there, huh? He just took it. Just took it. Awesome. Oh, you got the pod as well. The guy was 100% AFK. Fantastic. I too convert my active tanking pirate implant sets to boosting alts. Vexer's off. Ooh. That's Maldebs? Oh, good to know. Thank you for the information. What's up, guys? 5 km per sec out of a crow. It's pretty damn fast, man. I think you could do that with overdrives and stuff, but that's pretty damn fast, man. Why you gotta be so fast? Is it painted red? I bet it's painted red. And the only way for these guys to do this plex is to be defensive plexing. Are these guys defensive plexing? You're defensive plexing. God, you guys are boring. How exciting. It's defensive plex, everybody. Here's a question. How many guys do we have in the stream chat that are doing factional warfare? Is Binder still there? I'm sure Binder's still there. I do an alt once in a while, that's about it. Does pirating count? No, not really. I'm asking for the dudes that actually do the fact war thing. So here's a question for you guys. This whole defensive plexing mechanic. What if instead of having defensive plexing, you just had, if you force out someone that's offensive plexing, it automatically reverts back. You don't have to be in the plex. And if no one's in a plex to do offensive plexing, the system will automatically go back to full system control. So the only way to force down a system would just be to offensive plex. What if we just did away with this whole defensive plexing thing beyond the PvP of forcing out people that are offensive plexing? Does that sound worthwhile? Does that sound like that would improve things, improve the state of fact war? I know that just having timers either tick back or reset if the person that's offensive plexing leaves is already a good idea. It seems to be a thing that a lot of faction warfare players are really keen about. But what about this whole defensive plexing thing? It seems really boring and lame to me. Where the hell am I? Legitimately, where am I? Where am I? Why did I go here? What am I doing? Anything to get rid of AFK plexing. I do fact war. Defensive plexing is job for alt, sadly. Yeah, that's what it seems like. There's no reason to fit guns or anything. It seems very dull and boring and worthless from a gameplay perspective. There already is a capped on distance. Biz nasty. It's 30 km. Okay. Well, I'm glad that's cool. One of these days, with eVegas coming up, I'd like to just get a list of shit to throw at devs about topics I don't necessarily do and kind of be a quasi CSM. Because it's so often during roundtables, people are talking about shit I have no idea. I have no opinion. I'm just sitting there and just kind of waiting for something to come up that I know about. But even though I'm not in factional warfare, I'm affected by factional warfare. It's my primary means for PvP is fighting people that are doing factional warfare. And I see a lot of things that factional warfare players see that really doesn't improve gameplay, that isn't great gameplay. Is really boring, is lame, whatever. And that's one of it. It seems that defensive plexing is useless. It's kind of like another form. It's another thing like mining to me. I like the current mining mechanic, or the current logistics mechanic for the vast majority of moving things around or harvesting a resource is just very mindless. It's something that you do with alts. It's something that you do when you're not really paying attention to the game. I know, Rambo. I know. I know. But I just wish it could be something that everyone in the room just said, we're not here to bounce questions off of you. We're here to tell you fix this shit. You know? Roundtables are never like that. It'd be nice for there just to be a concerted, like, in unison, do this. Do this. Do this. That's it. It's low-hanging fruit. Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. I know they know. Yeah, it's true. Condensed space? It's an interesting statement, Blip. That's a very interesting statement to me. I like that EVE is vast. I like that there's a lot of room to move around in EVE. I also really dislike it. You know, I say it all the time that the vast majority of a player's time spent in this game is moving from point A to point B, and it's useless. Reducing the time spent in warp, reducing the time spent moving around would be an improvement. But it's also a very core element to EVE Online. And I just realized that's Carolyn Starr right there. Man, that is... It just looks like another part of the nebula. It's so shot. Space Goatsy is not so much Goatsy anymore. Hmm. Yeah, Rambo, there's so many of those things that are still lying around. I mean, the past year has still been the year of low-hanging fruit for CCP. They just started picking all this low-hanging fruit that players have been asking for 5 years, 10 years, better parts of a decade, and people have been very happy about it. They've been renovating, they've been changing out the carpet, they've been repainting. They've been doing a lot of the small stuff that makes things look fresh. It's good. They haven't been doing that for a lot of core gameplay, and the game could use that. It really could use that. And I know CCP is really keen on new player experience right now, and that's another really important thing that they're trying to figure out. Why with an MMO market that's expanding, do we not have a proportional increase in players? And that has a lot to do with core gameplay. And for a lot of new players, it's going to tend to be mining, PvE content, missions, faction warfare. Faction warfare is probably one of the bigger forms of PvP that players are going to get into if they're new. It's the most accessible. It really rewards players for doing it. It should be one of the bigger ticket items for them, improving new player experience for the types of gameplay new players are going to get into. This fucking cat, dude. This lowrider cat. It's too good. What? Okay. You will not deny me my pussy, Ivan 9. Have your browser get shit together. You need to train for a month before you can play the game. That's not true at all these days, BRB. That's not true. It felt like it was true back in the day when you had learning skills. These days I don't feel it's true at all. I think there can be a lot of improvements made to starting skills and to training requirements, but that is happening. Don't give me the 1 day Aaron BS. Aaron, what's... I don't know what Aaron means. I agree with you that you're not going to be doing much in the first couple of days, but I will say that when I first started playing this game, I wasn't doing much in the first couple of days because I had no fucking idea what I was doing. It had more to do with a knowledge gap than anything else. Oh, where'd they going? Where'd they going? They just opened the large? Is that the small? Where'd they go? The day one Atron? Yeah, I mean, day one is... I think it has a lot more to do with players just not really know what they're doing. Although there's still a lot of core skills for even PvP that you just can't really have trained up on day one. I mean, can you do it? Yeah, you can get into PvP on day one. It's just what you're actually providing to a gang may not be all that valuable. It pretty much have to be E-War. I've tried it. I tried it on an RVB alt. It's fairly interesting. I don't think it would be much of what a new player would actually attempt to do, but it was kind of what I, as a person that was making a new player and had new player resources, would go about doing. It would probably take me a really long time to do even what I was doing in RVB just to get the money to throw around chips as it was. They weren't expensive. They're all like, you know, Meta 1, Meta 2 modules and all that sort of stuff, but just to build up to get the ISK to do that, it would have taken a lot of reading up about the game and getting mentors and trying to find out ways to make money as a new player. I feel like I need a smart bomb here. That's what, potentially 1,000 DPS? Depending on their fits, so I'm not going to kill them quickly. Overheating my reps, I'm going to get back 700 DPS, but my Exile's about to run down. I'll take the fight, but I don't think these guys are looking for one. Yeah, I don't think these guys are going to come out to fight the Myrmidon, scary Myrmidon. I'm assuming this guy's actually on the workman. Yep. No, I just couldn't lock him in time. Alright, fuck him off. Oracle, Vexer, Confessor. What's going on here? If I was Wasik, I would align, shoot me, and then warp off. Yeah, I would do as the Christus do. Am I jumping into a Bebop gang? Okay, good. Really, BRB? It sounds like they had the wrong expectations about the game. I don't see how getting new players into the skills that allow them to use Tech 2 modules and the like is going to help with new player retention. I don't have a lot of friends that attempted to play this game. Of the friends that have attempted to play this game, one of them, I tried to bring him into it. He didn't really immediately jump on it. It didn't really interest him all that much, and he didn't stick around. Fair enough. The other friend that I was trying to get into it, she gave it an honest go. Her biggest issue with it is moving from point A to point B. There's too much flying around and not doing anything. And she didn't want to take the time and effort to figure out what to do in the game. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the primary issues with the game is just the core gameplay. And I've never heard SP be the primary issue of new players burning out in the game. But, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, players running into a SP brick wall seems like it would be something that I wouldn't have a lot of experience with. That would be more on the level of players that have been around for a little while and actually did enjoy the core gameplay, but then felt like they're not going to be able to accomplish anything. Yay, loot! I killed the Rex. $50 million loot. Not bad. Hopefully someone doesn't pull a Queenie on me and takes all my cap booster charges. I'm lucky. I'm nowhere near you, Queenie. Shit, where did I come from? Shit. Fuck. Is that Fleet? Is that Boone or Fleet? No, it's Fleet. Ah, Boone! Okay, thank you. You think the booster's long gone by now? Maybe. Sard the bottom feeder. Okay, Hoover vacuum over here. Well, Rambo, I think it has to be more or less a similar system to what you're seeing in the Sov space, right? Like, the stronger you hold onto a system, the harder it'd be to entosis. The entire idea is that you are removing the need to shoot things for long periods of time. So instead you can have like a skirmishing force. Does that mean that one entosis link is going to flip the system in 5 minutes? No. It could require a dozen entosis links, 10 minutes to do it. I don't know. Whatever is good. I'm not really sure what's balanced. I'm not someone that has been paying a lot of attention to Sov changes. But something tells me that if it's going to work in nullsec, it could work in faction warfare just as easily. This is content. Is it worthwhile content, Rambo? Is it worthwhile content? And is using entosis links going to make it any more meaningful for either or both sides, the defending and offensive players? I don't know. I have no idea. Yes and no, Rambo. It could mean that one player using his entosis link is going to take 4 hours. Let's just spitball some arbitrarily long number. If you can't get someone to that system in 4 hours to shoot that fucker that is using an entosis link on your structure, do you really deserve that system? That's kind of the idea of this whole entosis link shenanigans, is that if you can't put in this minimal amount of effort, you don't deserve that in the first place. Why are you complaining? The worry is that it's going to flip so fast that, yes, I'm doing my due diligence. I'm sending this person out here. I am flying out there to counter that person's activity. By the time I got there, it's already been flipped. This sucks. I understand that. And I think a lot of people are concerned about that. And then you have this whole troll entosis link thing where people are, the troll scepters that people are talking about. Oh, fantastic, Thekla, thank you. The last thing faction warfare needs is more incentive to use frigs. What is the fitting on an entosis link? If I remember right, Tech 2 entosis links can't be fit on frigs. T1, I believe, can. I get kills. I spent 3 days in faction warfare space collecting the fight left over in 2 ships just to see if it was profitable. When I jumped out my decent space transport, I had 500 million ISK in cargo. Yeah. Yeah, it adds up pretty quick. People are pretty lazy about scooping loot. There's a lot of people that just don't care about loot. A lot of people, they look at PvP as a means to an end, and they focus entirely on just trying to get fights, or two sides will just be really at it and they're just trying to chase each other down and no one loots. It's actually very easy as a ninja looter to get a whole bunch of money that way. Not particularly really good money, but for a new player, it can be really fantastic money. So Tech 1 can be fit to a frigate, a Tech 2 cannot. Yeah. What am I listening to? What? You cannot move or repair. Really? Okay, interesting. Huh. I think Rambo, until this like soft changes are a hot potato, and the people that need it the most are going to get it first, and we're all going to see what it's like. So sure, having a wait and see attitude is pretty much where everyone's at, everywhere. Hey, Slippers. I was looking at getting into Eve. Is it worth it? It really depends on you, Richie. What are you looking for out of a game? I heard it has a crazy, huge learning curve. It does. There's a huge knowledge base to the game where it's going to take you, weeks, if not months, to get through. That doesn't mean it's not an enjoyable game. It really depends on what you're looking for out of a game, though. You can pretty much get into like the basic stuff that if you're going to play this game, like if the content's for you, the basic meat of the game is going to be there for you almost from the get-go. But anyway, this game is an MMO. It's a sandbox spaceship MMO. So whether or not this game is for you really depends on what you're looking for out of a game. So there's a lot of interesting aspects about it. It's similar to DayZ in that it is, the sandbox experience. What you get out of the game is what you put into it. So for anyone that's looking to jump into this game, I always tell people to have goals or have ideas, plans for what you actually want to do with the game. To give you an idea of what's possible in the game, here's a pretty intimidating chart that shows a whole bunch of different things that you can do. A lot of them you won't really understand, but there's a lot of really basic sort of activities like exploration or industry or player versus player activity, things like that players can do. It's an MMO game, and it really emphasizes interactions with players. You need to interact with players in this game. You need to make friends in this game. You need to meet people in this game. If you are kind of a loner and you don't want to play with other players, this game is not for you. This game is heavily reliant on joining communities, building relationships, and acting as a group. Even myself, I as a player, I normally do things on my own or in really small, with a really small group of friends. But even when I'm doing things alone, I'm constantly interacting with other people. Right now, I'm talking with people off my stream. It's a very community-driven game. I want to be a pirate and kill ships and steal their shit. This could very well be a fantastic game for you. Most interactions in this game are player versus player and how they play out. And if you're looking into blowing up spaceships, this is a pretty good game for that. Yeah, okay, if you're gonna be jumping right into it, Richie, fantastic, cool. I hope you enjoy. Again, hold on to that goal of piracy. Join a player organization as soon as you freaking can. The big thing about joining a player organization is find a group that fits you. Find a group of people that you're having fun with and that you're really enjoying the gameplay with. And you need a mentor in that group. You need someone that's going to help explain the game to you. If you don't have that help, you're going to flounder. You're going to falter. You're going to lose focus on what you're doing. And this game's going to be a lot more intimidating than it really needs to be. This game's been around for over 10 years, about 12 years now. There's information in this game, there's stuff in this game, there's so much stuff in this game that it's really important that you have someone to help you out and help explain things to you. There's an ability to control land and stuff, right? Yeah. Always liked looking at maps and all, seeing the organizations and what they control. Yep, that's part of the game. We're actually been talking about that for a bit. What is the concept of capturing land anyway? The way it works right now, let me show you the map. And let me fix the map so I can actually explain things. Oh god. That's not what I want to open. Fuck off. There we go. Okay. So there's a lot of different... All these dots are star systems that you can visit. Every one of these dots is a unique place that you can go to and find players at and do stuff in. All the dots that are blue, yellow, orange are kind of NPC controlled. Players do a lot of stuff here, but they don't really own the space. All the red dots, just about all these red dots, players run the show. They take over space. They contest over space. They contest for resources in these red dots. They plunk down their flag and they hold what's called sovereignty. In all these red systems. There's a lot more of these red systems than there are all these brighter colored systems, these colder colored systems. All the red ones you see are called null security space, where players kind of run the show. All the stuff in the middle here, in the donut hole, it's called high security space and low security space. These red zones are PvP free zones. You can kill other people at will. There are zones that are kind of orange that you see. This is low security space. That's also a PvP limited zone. You can PvP there with some restrictions. It's more or less PvP free. These zones that are kind of yellow, green, and blue, they're PvP restricted zones. Your PvP experience with other players is heavily limited. But you can kill or be killed anywhere in space. No, you're not safe anywhere. Besides YouTube, are there any good websites for info on EVE? Google is probably your number one source. The reason I say Google is that there's a whole bunch of different resources. Some of the bigger ones are Wikipedia pages put together by essentially new player organizations that are focused on trying to provide information to people. EVE University is a big organization. Agony Unleashed is a big one. There's a EVE Wiki that's okay. There's a whole bunch of other privately run or community run websites that you can pretty much find if you Google any particular topic for the game. There you go, Moonpie. So what are some of the bigger organizations? I want to capture areas and blow shit up. What did I do exactly? Is there a real role for someone who wants to do something like that? Yeah. Soldiers are in super high demand. Kind of line people that do the blowing of ships up. Organizations like Brave Newbies would be a very quick way for you to get in and start shooting things in null security space and start joining in on this taking of space sovereignty warfare area. There are a couple other organizations that are similar to them. Pandemic Horde, I believe, is another one. There's a couple of them like that. Goon Swarm, if you are a frequent Something Awful forums, there's a community, Eve community, built on that's started in Something Awful. They're actually one of the stronger organizations in the game right now. I've been looking for an RPG that I would be able to do stuff like that. I feel that Eve is the best choice. It's for what it sounds like you want to do, Richie. Eve Online can be really good. And as a starting point, just acting as kind of a player killer, and you wanting to join like kind of the armies of Eve and the taking and taking a space and breaking of other organizations' backs. Yeah, something like Brave Newbies would be a pretty good starting point. And from there, if you decide you wanted to change your mind and do something else, there's nothing holding you back. You can always try something different. That's one of the beauties of Eve, is that you can always start anew and do something different. I want to find a good block, organization, whatever, but I feel like it's going to be difficult. Should I just jump into the game and try to find someone? Just write this down. Brave Newbies is good. Pandemic Horde would be another choice for just starting out and jumping into doing stuff. If you decide that PvP sounds fun, but you want something a little bit more casual, I guess it's not really a good word for it. Red vs. Blue is another fantastic new player PvP organization. Red vs. Blue. There's a lot of new organizations out there. There's a lot of new player-friendly organizations out there that can kind of get you into the kind of PvP you're looking for. Again, if you're a part of Something Awful, Goon Swarm. Synergy. What are you talking about? On top, there are systems that are most red, and they seem like there's no connection. Yeah, this is kind of like CCP space. This is like the game developers area right now. There's some conjecture that this is going to be space that players can go into, but right now this is kind of like where devs live. If you actually look at these systems and look at the station systems, they're named CCP things. Let's see here. I think you can see that in Tranquility. Number of stations. I thought so anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. Game Master Health Spot. Game Master's Biomass Processing Facility. Magic Land. They might be starting to make these things more lore oriented, but some of these are GM stuff, developer stuff. Brandon, oh man, there's not much going on today. Nothing really worthwhile. How'd your stream go? I saw that you were streaming while I was at work, Brandon. It looked like you were doing like a classical painting sort of thing. No, Goon Swarm is still one of the biggest organizations in the game. They're by far the most organized. and they're actually they're one of they're the organization in the strongest position in this game. They have all the powerful stuff. They're probably one of the stronger organizations. Yeah. So like Burnout is actually mentioning, there's this is known space. This is what it's called, K space or known space, all these systems. There's also several thousand wormholes. Star systems that can only be found by jumping through a wormhole. Some interstellar shit for you. That's a whole different realm in EVE Online. Exploration is one of the more interesting and cooler things that new players can get into very quickly. Jelly, it's hard in the sense that it's hard like everything else is hard in this game. Once you understand like core mechanics of wormholes, Jelly, it's like anything else. And don't let the idea that it's hard stop you from exploring and playing around with it. In fact, wormhole space is probably some of the best sources of money for new players. The stream was awesome, fantastic, Brandon. All right, guys. If just as a heads up, we're kind of winding down here, but this Clash guy, actually, the ad's up right now. Brandon749 Clash on Twitch TV. He is one of these creative content guys that is doing art on Twitch.tv. So you have music music content creators that have started kind of springing up on Twitch TV. You also have more artsy kind of stuff. I've seen a lot of people doing kind of Photoshop stuff, drawing stuff, modeling, like clay models, what have you. Clash is one of these guys. Clash has been around, Clash or Brandon on Twitch TV. He's been around the EVE stream community for quite a while. He's done some, just hung out, been a cool guy, and also done a little bit of artsy stuff for streamers, primarily around Local for Loki streams, out stream. So, and he started streaming himself. So, if you don't know who Brandon is and you are into that sort of thing, or you think that might be interesting, go check out Brandon749's stream. Give him a follow. It's kind of an interesting bit of content that is bringing up on Twitch TV that I myself quite enjoy. So, good little advertisements there for you. Throwing them as I can for you, Clash. I figure out of all the people watching, maybe 1% might be interested, but hopefully that 1% will actually go out there, check out your stream, and see what's up. But anyway, guys, kind of like I was pointing out, that's going to be it for, my content tonight. Kind of evened out. There hasn't been a lot going on. So we do have the schedule going. I'm going to be live on Wednesday of this week at 6 p.m. PST again. I think I figured out a topic for our next podcast sort of thing. I'm going to see if I can get some personalities to talk about it. See if people actually want to talk about it for an hour. But that is still in the works and lined up. I'm just trying to figure out a date for it and everything. As far as other stuff going on with Sard Stream, we'll see about the content on Wednesday. I might actually do a different game on Wednesday if we have like another empty low sec sort of thing going on, or if I don't have my Thera connections. It's actually another thing I wanted to that I'm looking forward to. I've had an offer made to me, and I'm going to try it out. So I have a friend of a friend essentially has offered to probe down all the Thera connections at the start of the day and then send a contract with bookmarks to me. So it's going to be pretty cool if I can use Thera and all like 10 to 12 wormhole connections from Thera to head out into nullsec and try out some nullsec PP. It's something that's really been not seen in my stream for a long time. We've seen some of the potential content out of wormholes. Not wormholes, but out of nullsec recently. So I think that nullsec stuff could be really cool, especially if faction warfare space is just not all that great. So hopefully Thera will allow me to realize that. So that's something that should be happening soon. Alright guys, that's going to be it for me, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. I'll be live on a Wednesday. So until then, I hope you guys have a good night, fly reckless, and see you soon. Good night.